We have, because next time that we see each other, the college football semifinals, or the first game of the college football, the Rose Bowl and the All-State Sugar Bowl is what have happened. And you have number 4 Alabama going against number 1 Michigan in the Rose Bowl, and then you have number 3 Texas going against number 2 Washington. I'm going to give my bowl predictions. I have not done that yet, so yeah, let's start with the Rose Bowl. Alabama at Michigan. Yes, I obviously believe that both of these teams, all 4 of these teams, Michigan, Alabama, Texas, and Washington, they all can win. They all are good enough in their own right to obviously win a national championship. They're the Final Four. And Alabama is an interesting case to me. I understand that nobody wants to play Alabama. It's Alabama. But when you look at the crux of Alabama this year, there are holes that can be exploited with Alabama. We saw that against Auburn. We saw that to a certain extent against Texas. We saw that against Georgia. You can run on this Alabama team. And when you're going against Michigan, who is or has Blake Corum, and their primary focus is to run the ball, that could bode well for Michigan. And on top of that, as we've seen all season, this is one of the weaker Alabama offensive lines. And I do understand that Michigan did lose their best offensive lineman in the Ohio State game. So that can also affect them as well. But I just think I've seen Alabama be great. Don't get me wrong. I've seen Alabama, they beat Georgia, which was obviously the number 1 team. So I've seen them be great this year. I think Jalen Milroe has been great. His maturation from the first game to where he is now has been incredible to see. And I would not be shocked if Alabama wins this game. Alabama is Alabama. They have studs at the wide receiver spot. They have quickness. It's Alabama, so you know the physicality, especially at the defensive line. Going against Michigan's offensive line is going to be incredible. And J.J. McCarthy, he struggled, especially towards the end of the season as far as passing. I don't know. That's going to have to play a part going against Alabama, because Alabama, while they struggle with stopping the run a lot, you know that that's going to be the number 1 focus for Alabama. We cannot let Blake Corum go off. If they're going to win, J.J. McCarthy's going to have to beat us. And J.J. McCarthy, especially going into the season, he looked a lot better throwing the ball, but I don't know. I'll say that looking at each team's best and worst, and what I mean by that is looking at a team, how they looked at their best and how they looked at their worst, is how I determine who's going to win this game. Alabama, obviously, I think their worst was going against honestly, people are going to say their worst when they went against Texas. I think they looked their worst going against Auburn. It took a miracle play at the end of the game to win. And Michigan, I think they looked their worst probably against Maryland. And then I see what their best, right? Alabama looked their best, in my opinion, against Georgia. And Michigan looked their best against Ohio State. I think that Michigan is closer to their best than they are their worst. And I think that Alabama is closer to their worst than they are their best, because I've seen them struggle against Missouri. I've seen them struggle so many times this year. Now, they have blown people out, but I've seen them struggle so many times this year. I'm picking Michigan to win this game. I think that Michigan, they there's so many times they get so close to the national championship and they just don't make it. I think that this is the year that they have the personnel, they have the defensive line. Yes, they lost their best offensive lineman, but I just think Michigan, this it feels like this is Michigan's year. I could be wrong, but I have Michigan beating Alabama in the Rose Bowl and Michigan obviously making it to the national championship. And for the Sugar Bowl, this is interesting because Texas and Washington are kind of the same team in certain instances, right? Both of them are high octane offenses. Both of them have a NFL caliber quarterback in Quinn Ewers and Michael Penix. And Texas has a much better defense, but Washington's defense comes to play in certain moments, and I think that can come back to bite them. But I don't know if Texas has played a more prolific offense this year than Washington's, because you have NFL type wide receivers all around the field, whether that's Adunze, whether that's Polk. Their running back and their wide receivers, all of them have NFL type players, and then you have Michael Penix. I do think that the defense of Texas is going to be a lot for Washington, and I'm interested to see how Texas's defense handles that level of speed and that level of agility at the skill positions that Washington deals with. Then I go back to their toughest games. Right? Washington has struggled a couple times this year, but their obviously two best wins was against Oregon. And Texas' best win obviously was against Alabama. This is tough because I think that these outside of the defense, I think that's it. I think both of these teams are incredibly similar outside of the defense, and I have seen Washington struggle with a good defense. I mean, they struggled with Oregon, even though they did beat Oregon twice. I'm going to go with Texas. So I think the national championship is going to be Michigan and Texas. Yeah. I think that's the harder game to choose from between Texas and Michigan. I mean, Texas and Washington, because they're very similar. Oh, man, you stayed to the end of the video. I appreciate you. If you like what you saw, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you'll never miss any content from your boy. You can also go back and watch past episodes, past clips, and don't forget that the Unpopular Podcast, new episodes drop every Wednesday and Saturday. Appreciate you.